Tonight on KGW News, a Gresham skier gets his big shot in Beijing.
We're just super proud of him and thank everybody for supporting him.
We're there with his proud parents as they cheer him on. Plus, an autistic teenager beat up by bullies.
That's completely wrong. No one should have to go through that.
He's left with a black eye, but his parents hope he'll only remember what the community stepped up to do today. But first, it's an arrest that has victims' advocates raising the red flag. How DNA from a rape investigation was used to arrest the victim. Your news starts now. Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Laurel Porter. First tonight, DNA has become a major tool in solving crime for both active and cold cases. But a local legal expert says a new case is raising serious concerns about how police get that DNA. Alma McCarty joins us from the newsroom with the details and possible ramifications. Alma?
Laurel, in the case out of California, the district attorney says DNA taken from a victim's rape kit was used against her in a property crime case years later. Victims' advocates say it is already difficult enough for survivors of sexual assault to come forward, and this case could keep some from seeking help.
San Francisco District Attorney Chesa Boudin opened a press conference with some strong words Tuesday, following a troubling discovery by his office late last week. That DNA collected from a rape victim by the police department there was used several years later as evidence to arrest her for an unrelated property crime.
We're here today to denounce the practice of using rape and sexual assault survivors' DNA without their consent, of storing their DNA indefinitely, and using it for purposes totally unrelated to the prosecution of their abusers.
The DA said he believes the practice goes beyond this one case.
The SFPD crime lab and likely other crime labs around the state have, as a matter of routine practice and policy, been storing DNA from every sexual assault or rape kit that gets gathered in a database. And we know that as a matter of routine practice, they have been testing DNA from future unrelated crime scenes against that database.
The allegations could have unintended consequences for other sexual assault victims, according to Tung Yin, a professor of law at Lewis and Clark Law School.
What happens if I report this? Will I end up in a similar situation? Now, most people, of course, aren't really going to be thinking that they'll be committing crimes, but, who knows what other reasons the government might have for using DNA that they obtain supposedly for one purpose that ends up being used for some other purpose.
He explains this particular situation might not be covered by a particular law. Rather, it's open to interpretation by the courts.
Some ways we say, well, people's fingerprints are in the system. You get fingerprinted for different reasons, and it can come back to be used in a criminal investigation. But, I guess there's something particularly maybe distasteful about being the victim of sexual assault and rape, such a horrible, intimate crime, and then having the very evidence of that used for what seems to be a relatively minor type of non-personal injury crime.
Leaders in San Francisco asked the city attorney's office to draft legislation barring the use of rape kit evidence except to investigate the rape.
Thank you, Alma. Now let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines. Several Oregon school districts are preparing to end mask requirements for students and staff. Amity, Canby, Newburgh, and Yamhill Carlton school districts are the first to announce masks will no longer be required after March 31st. Oregon officials have said they will lift the indoor mask mandate by then. The state said it will leave it up to each individual school district to decide requirements for themselves after that. Portland Public Schools is paying thousands of dollars in repairs after a thief swiped 5 catalytic converters from district-owned vehicles. Photos show the suspect broke into the locked parking lot at the Green Thumb facility on Southeast 60th Avenue on Sunday morning. PPS says the repairs will cost the district between $7,000 and $8,000. And exactly a year after a deadly winter crash, the family of the victim has filed a lawsuit against ODOT. A KGW investigation found road crews may have contributed to the crash where a car plunged off the Glen Jackson Bridge into the Columbia River. Police reports, internal documents, and video revealed snow plows threw snow and ice against the Jersey barrier, creating an icy ramp. The family is suing for $12 million in damages. An ODOT spokesperson declined to comment on the pending litigation.
He was a middle schooler attacked by high schoolers, so that's completely wrong. No one should have to go through that.
The community is coming together to support a 13-year-old in Sweet Home after a group of teenagers jumped him. We want to warn you, some of the video is disturbing. It shows 13-year-old Gavin Donor being punched and kicked by a group of older teens last Wednesday at Sweet Home High School. His mom, Katie, says he's autistic. When people in and outside of Sweet Home heard about what happened on social media, they organized a car parade today to show Gavin there are good people in the world who support him.
Overwhelmed. Yeah. We're super grateful for all the support that we've gotten from, especially from Sweet Home, but from everybody. I've gotten messages, he's gotten gifts. It blows my mind. Yeah.
Gavin's mom says he's starting to feel better, but still has quite the black eye. Police say the group of teens appear to be from out of town. Our sister station, KEZI, reports 3 teens have been arrested so far. The motive remains unclear. The owner of a Portland restaurant says his business has already been broken into 4 times, and it all happened before their grand opening. Local restaurant owner Ezekiel Gutierrez says thousands of dollars of tools and equipment were stolen, including 3 gas heaters, which cost $2,800 each. Surveillance cameras at Mikava Cocina caught one of the suspects who made it into the restaurant in late January. The cost of these break-ins is a big deal, but what really bothers Gutierrez the most is the lack of support. He claims authorities aren't doing enough to find the thieves.
But people have to do something about it. I mean, all the businesses, people are losing their business, their livelihoods, all the work for the life's work.
And what's happening to Gutierrez is not unique. A business advocacy group called Bricks Need Mortar found that about 2/3 of its small business clients have been broken into or vandalized over the past year and a half. Now to an update on life inside. KGW's in-depth look at Oregon's only women's prison. Our series aired in early 2020 and followed 3 women who were preparing to get out of prison and start fresh. One of them is now living her dream, advocating for criminal justice reform. Vanessa Sherrod testified recently at a hearing for House Bill 4146. It would direct Governor Kate Brown to hire a gender-responsive coordinator to meet with women at the Coffee Creek Correctional Facility. They would examine whether changes are needed to better rehabilitate women. Sherrod says the prison system is tailored to men. For instance, women with children are often the sole custodial parent. Once incarcerated, they have little access to the court cases deciding what happens to their children.
A lot of moms miss their court dates. And how does that look like when they're not able to show up for their child's court case? Because there's just so many things in place and so many moving wheels that you have to have someone who's literally involved from the beginning.
Sherrod, for her part, is doing great. Since her release in late 2019, she's gotten a job with the YWCA and a degree in social work. Oregon winemakers are brainstorming ways to keep prices down. Some vineyard owners we talked to say that, I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit of a problem here with my script. Some vineyard owners we talked to today say supply issues and inflation have raised their cost of doing business. In many cases, that's led to a 10 to 15% jump in the price that you'll pay for a bottle of wine. At the Oregon Wine Symposium this week, leaders from across the industry will come together to talk about the challenges. One idea is to find more affordable packaging since everything from glass to corks is getting more expensive.